This is a story about the worst day of my life and how it became the best thing that ever happened to me. The day before I turned 60, my partner of 20 years, a man I considered my brother, wiped me out. He systematically transferred every dollar from our company to a ghost account overseas and vanished. He thought he had left me with nothing. A broke old man, waiting for the end. But he made a fatal miscalculation. He was so focused on the digits in a bank account that he completely forgot what our empire was actually built on. This isn't a story about getting revenge, not really. It's a story of how I used my one true asset, the only thing he couldn't steal, to build something far greater. And in the process, simply made him and his stolen money irrelevant. He chose the perfect moment. The day before my 60th birthday, he wiped me out. I'm not talking about a bad investment. I'm not talking about a market crash. I'm talking about a knockout punch delivered by the one person I trusted in the world. My business partner, my friend of 20 years. I woke up that morning feeling good. The sun was hitting my face through the window. 60. It felt like a milestone. A victory. We had built an empire from nothing, a real, concrete thing. I was thinking about my wife, about a long vacation, maybe finally buying that boat. Then I saw the email. It was a simple bank alert, a wire transfer confirmation. But the number made no sense. It was everything. Every single dollar from our main operating account. My heart started pounding. You know that cold, metallic taste of fear? I felt it in the back of my throat. I grabbed my laptop. The screen blinked to life. I logged into our company accounts, one by one. The operations account, 0. The investment account, 0. The payroll account, 0. It was a massacre. A digital ghost town where a thriving business had been just hours before. He'd been methodical. A series of transfers, all executed in the dead of night. They all went to the same place. A single offshore account. A ghost corporation set up in a country whose name I could barely pronounce. He had a story for it, of course. A memo sent at 3 a.m. full of corporate jargon about asset restructuring for tax efficiency. It was bullshit. It was a theft, dressed up in a suit and tie. The air left my lungs. 60 years old. And I was broke. This was the man I'd spent more time with than my own family for 2 decades. The man who was the godfather to my daughter. We'd shared cheap pizza on the floor of our first office and champagne on the top floor of our last one. I thought I knew him. He thought he knew me too. He thought the business was the money. The buildings, the contracts. He saw the numbers in the bank accounts and believed that was my power. He believed that by taking it all, he was taking my life's work. He was leaving me an old man with nothing but memories. And for a few hours that morning, sitting in the cold silence of my home office, I almost believed him. The shock is a physical thing. It's a weight that pins you down. You can't breathe, you can't think. But then, a tiny spark flickered to life. He was smart, but not smart enough. He was so focused on the money, the tangible assets he could move and hide. He completely overlooked the one thing that built our entire empire from the ground up, the one thing he couldn't log into, the one thing he couldn't transfer to an offshore account. He didn't know about my real asset, my greatest asset. My first call wasn't to a mastermind or a secret weapon, it was to a lawyer. A very expensive lawyer who told me exactly what I already knew. The money was in a jurisdiction that doesn't talk to ours. The corporate shell was airtight. He told me we could fight. It would take years. It would cost a fortune I no longer had. He used words like forensic accounting, international subpoenas, and no guarantee. He was describing a long, slow crawl through a swamp. My partner had planned for this. He'd built a fortress of digital walls and legal loopholes designed to bleed me dry long before I ever saw a dime. I hung up the phone. The house was quiet. Too quiet. For a full hour, I just sat there. I let the rage wash over me. The pure, hot anger of betrayal. I wanted to break something. I wanted to call him and scream. But what would that change? Nothing. He was sitting on a beach somewhere, sipping something cold, watching his master plan unfold. He was counting on my rage. He was counting on me to make the obvious moves. The moves of a broken man. And that's when I realized I was still playing his game. The game of money, lawyers, and courts. He wanted me to fight for the past. I needed to start building the future. I walked over to my bookshelf. It's filled with leather-bound classics and business books I've read 100 times, but I wasn't looking for one of them. Behind a row of encyclopedias, there was an old, simple black ledger, the kind you buy at an office supply store for $10. It had no company name on it, no labels. It was completely analog. I opened it. The pages were filled with my own handwriting. Names, phone numbers, dates, short cryptic notes. This was my real asset. For 20 years, every time I made a real connection, I wrote it down. Not just a business card I scanned into a database, I mean a real connection. The supplier in Chicago I helped when his factory almost went under. I didn't have to. I vouched for him, extended him credit from our own pocket. He never forgot. His note said, "You saved my family." The young coder who we hired straight out of college. She was brilliant but terrified. I mentored her for 3 years. She eventually left to start her own company. Her last email to me said, "I learned more from you than any school." She was now a legend in Silicon Valley. The competitor, a tough old guy I fought with for a decade. We bid against each other on every job. One day his wife got sick. Really sick. I heard about it, picked up the phone, and pulled a string to get her an appointment with the best specialist in the country. We never spoke of it again, but the war between our companies softened after that. It became a rivalry, not a war. This book wasn't a list of contacts, it was a list of debts. Not debts owed to me in money, but in trust, in respect, in favors. It was a history of 20 years of doing the right thing, even when no one was watching. My partner knew about our official client list. He had the database. He had the contracts. He had no idea this book existed. He saw people as entries on a spreadsheet, pawns to be used. I saw them as relationships, as a network built on handshakes and kept promises. He had stolen the bank account. I held the bank of goodwill. And in the long run, that's the only currency that matters. I closed the book. The anger was gone, replaced by a cold, sharp focus. I knew exactly what I had to do. I flipped to a specific page, a name I hadn't looked at in years. I picked up the phone. My heart was calm now, steady. I dialed the number. I was about to call the last person in the world he would ever expect me to call. The phone rang twice. A gruff voice answered. "Yeah?" "Frank," I said. "It's me." There was a short pause on the other end of the line. Frank was the competitor I told you about. The old lion. We'd been trying to take each other down for years. "I know your voice," he said. He didn't sound happy to hear it. "This better be good." "I'm busy. I didn't waste time. I didn't mention the betrayal. I didn't mention the stolen money. Weakness is blood in the water. And Frank could smell it a mile away. Instead, I talked about the future. "Frank," I said, my voice steady, "you and I have been fighting over the same pie for 20 years. We've won some, we've lost some. It's getting old." "Get to the point," he grunted. "The point is, the pie is too small," I said. "There's a new market, a bigger one. And the way we've been doing business, it's obsolete. There's a faster, smarter way. I have a plan." I laid it out for him. Not the whole thing, just the hook. A new type of logistics network, a new technology platform. A model that would cut costs by 30% and increase delivery speed by half. It was an idea I'd been sketching out for years, one my old partner always dismissed as too risky. Frank was silent. I could hear him breathing on the other end. "That's a nice story," he finally said. "But ideas are cheap. That kind of venture takes capital. A lot of it." And I heard a rumor on the street this morning, a nasty one, about you." He knew. Of course, he knew. News like that travels fast. This was the moment, the pivot. "You're right," I said calmly. "My cash is gone, but my capital is intact. Frank, for 20 years, you've been competing against my company. But you were never competing against the money. You were competing against my network. My people." I opened the black book while I talked. "I have the best freight guy in Chicago. He owes me. I have the sharpest software developer in the valley. She respects me. I have a dozen other people just like them. They will answer my call. They are my capital. I'm offering you the keys to that kingdom. Together, we don't just compete, we dominate, we make everyone else irrelevant." I let the word hang in the air. Irrelevant. That was a word Frank understood. There was another long silence. Longer this time. I knew what he was thinking. He was weighing the risk. He was weighing the hate he had for me against the opportunity I was presenting. "My office, tomorrow, 7 a.m., he said. "And you better not be wasting my time." He hung up. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. The first domino had fallen. I didn't wait. I didn't celebrate. I flipped a page in the ledger. My next call was to Maria, the coder in Silicon Valley. "Maria, I need a favor. Can you build a prototype for a new platform? No pay up front, but I'll give you a piece of the company we're about to build." She didn't even hesitate. "Send me the specs. When do you need it?" Next call, David, the supplier in Chicago. "David, I'm starting something new. I need you to handle the logistics. It's going to be a madhouse for a few months. Can you handle it?" His answer? "For you? I'll build a new warehouse if I have to. Just tell me where to send the trucks." Call after call. For 3 hours straight. I worked my way through that book. Not one person said no. Not one person asked about the money. They asked what I needed. They asked how they could help. My ex-partner had stolen the fruits of my labor. He'd taken the harvest, but he had left me with the seeds, and he forgot that I was the one who knew how to make things grow. He was sitting on a pile of money, a dead, static thing. I was building an army. Frank's office felt like a museum of corporate warfare. Dark wood, heavy leather chairs, and a silence that felt heavier than the furniture. He didn't offer me coffee. He just stared at me from across a desk the size of a small car. "I'm here," he said, his voice flat. "Talk." I didn't open a briefcase. I didn't hand him a business plan. I just placed my laptop on his desk and opened it. "Ideas are cheap, you said," I started. "You're right. So let's skip the presentation." I clicked a single icon. A video call. A second later, Maria's face popped onto the screen. She looked tired but energized, a half-empty coffee mug in the background. Frank leaned forward, squinting at the screen. "Who's this?" "This is Maria," I said. "Frank, meet the architect of our new platform." Maria smiled. "Morning." As requested, I pulled an all-nighter. I have a functional wireframe of the user interface. It's rough, but it works. She shared her screen. On it was a clean, intuitive dashboard. A map, data points, logistics chains. It wasn't just a drawing. It was a clickable, working prototype. Frank was speechless for a moment. He pointed at the screen. "You built this last night?" Maria shrugged, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. "He asked me to," she said. Those 4 words hit Frank harder than a 100-page proposal. He wasn't looking at a prototype anymore. He was looking at a demonstration of blinding speed and absolute loyalty. The kind of loyalty his army of lawyers and highly paid executives could never deliver. I didn't stop there. I picked up my phone, put it on speaker, and dialed another number from the black book. "David," I said, "I'm with a potential partner. Can you give me a status update?" David's voice came through, crisp and clear. "Ready when you are." I've already spoken to my 3 most reliable freight carriers. They have trucks on standby. They can divert to the new system the moment we go live. We can have the entire Midwest corridor serviced by next Monday. I hung up and looked at Frank. That's my capital, I said quietly. It's not in a bank in the Cayman Islands. It's in the promises I've kept. It's in the people who will answer my call in the middle of the night. You have money, Frank. I have an army that's already marching. I closed the laptop. My old partner, he thinks this is a game of numbers. He's waiting for a letter from my lawyer. He's expecting me to fight him in court for years. He's looking at the wrong battlefield. I leaned forward. With your resources and my network, we don't just build a new company. We launch a revolution. We can be operational in a month. A month, Frank. Our competitors, our old companies, would need a year just to schedule the meetings about the meetings. Frank stood up. He walked to the window and looked down at the city below for a long time. He was a predator. He spent his whole life looking for the slightest weakness in his opponents. But what I had shown him wasn't weakness. It was a strength he never knew existed. A power money couldn't buy. An unfair advantage. He turned back to me. A slow smile spread across his face. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was a hungry one. He walked back to the desk and extended a hand. Okay, he said, let's go to war. Our first target wasn't the smallest client, the one easiest to flip. We went straight for the head, a company called Gentech. They were our old company's biggest account. Their business was worth millions in revenue, but more importantly, it was a symbol. They were the anchor. My ex-partner felt secure with them. He had a multi-year contract, a long history. He probably hadn't even called them. Why would he? He was the one with the contract. I knew the CEO of Gentech, a man named Arthur. We'd played golf a few times. He was a smart, no-nonsense guy. He cared about one thing: results. Frank and I didn't book a meeting through his assistant. I called Arthur on his personal cell phone. Arthur, I said, I'm sending you a link. Give me 5 minutes of your time. That's all I ask. He was curious. He agreed. The link didn't lead to a PowerPoint or a website. It led to the live dashboard Maria had built. Using dummy data, we showed him the platform. More importantly, we showed him his own supply chain, completely reimagined. This is our new system, I explained with Frank on the line. We're not just offering a better price. We're offering you total transparency. You can see your shipment in real time, from the warehouse floor to the customer's door. You can reroute a truck with a single click. Our logistics network, run by David, can deliver 48 hours faster than your current setup. Guaranteed. Arthur was quiet. He was clicking around the prototype. He understood immediately. We weren't selling him a service. We were giving him a weapon. This is impressive, he finally said. But you're a new company. It's a risk, and I have a contract. Frank spoke for the first time. His voice was like gravel. The contract is with a company, a name on a piece of paper. But you did business with a man. That man is on this call. The other one is on a beach, counting money that used to be yours. It was a brutal, brilliant line. I followed up. Arthur, we're not asking you to break your contract. We are so confident in this system that we will run a parallel shipment for your next major delivery. For free. If we don't beat your current delivery time by 48 hours as promised, you never have to talk to us again. If we do, you and I will have dinner next Wednesday. It was an offer he couldn't refuse. A free test run with zero risk. 2 weeks later, 2 trucks left a warehouse in Ohio, heading for a facility in Texas. One was dispatched by my old company. The other was dispatched by ours. Ours arrived in 52 hours. The other one arrived in 88. That Wednesday, I had dinner with Arthur. The contract with my old company was terminated the next morning, citing a breach of a performance clause my ex-partner had probably never even read. I didn't hear from him. No angry phone call, no threatening email from a lawyer. The silence was far more satisfying. I could picture him in his offshore paradise, seeing the email from Gentech. The shock. The confusion. He'd check the bank account, and the money would still be there, but for the first time, he would realize that money isn't power. It's just fuel. And the engine was gone. He stole my company, but I had taken his future. One by one, over the next 6 months, his key clients left. They didn't leave for a better price. They left for a better system, a faster network, and a team of people they could trust. We never sued him. We never tried to get the money back. We didn't have to. We made it irrelevant. I turned 61 last month. Frank and I took our new executive team out on a boat. It was a nice boat. I bought it myself. My ex-partner thought my life's work was a number in a bank account, a thing that could be taken. He was wrong. My life's work was in a $10 black book. It was in the handshakes, the favors, the kept promises. It was the trust I had built, person by person, year after year. He stole the past, but he couldn't touch the real asset. And with it, I built the future.